Welcome to Biggest Geekus. We're your hosts. I'm Randy.
And I'm Joe.
This is episode 114 of our show, and the date is Tuesday, November 15th, 2022.
It is. And it was crappy out there delivering the mail.
Yeah. Did you know Indiana got snow before we did, though?
Oh, that's fine. They deserve it.
It's sad. Indiana should never beat Michigan with snow. That's a sad thing. Mm-hmm. Decent crowd, looks like. Darth is in the house. Martinson, Patrick. Nice crowd. What's up, guys? Good to see you.
Everybody needs to prepare for a raid.
What?
We're going to get raided.
We are? Okay, cool. I like raids.
It's called a raid. That's what my wife was telling me they were talking about doing over from the DVR folks. So at some point.
Jump in here and give us some crap. That'll be cool. I like that. So how's your week been, man?
It's been okay. We did not play last week because we're playing this week.
We're playing this Thursday, yeah. We got a couple more weeks of the OSE stuff. Then I think we're going to be transitioning to a different campaign while one of our players is gone. So yeah, we'll talk about that Thursday night. A little Rifts action seems to be on the horizon.
Not sure I like the sound of that transitioning thing.
That's a fair statement. As soon as I said it, I was like, that sounds questionable. Mr. Boisvan.
Mr. Boisvan. Some words we can get our hackles up about if someone uses a particular word. Mm-hmm. I don't want to be like the lefties though. Every time you use a particular word, they're like blah blah blah.
Oh no, words mean stuff. Use them when they're appropriate. Don't when they don't.
Well, there's a lot of words that are meaningless now.
Oh yeah, because they use them for so many different things. Yeah, that's a bummer.
Yeah,
but, it's been a pretty good week. I got a little work done on the big Geek Con. I have some small announcements. But I don't know. Nobody can commit yet. We don't have a place to get the tickets yet, but I think that'll happen soon. I'll talk about that so when we get to it. But that's all that I did. I've got a few irons in the fire. I mean, I meant to tell Joe about this, but I'll tell you off air. I got another little project I'm doing, so I got a lot of things I have to get done. So that's all right. Here in about 2 weeks, I'll have maybe three. Another week and a half after Thanksgiving. I have 4 or 5 days off. And then after that, 3 weeks, and then I'm off for Christmas break, which I'm hoping is quite a while. Don't be too jealous, Patrick. You might be a part of that. So be prepared. I haven't decided how things are going to go yet. I've got a bold idea as long as that.
Bold.
So we'll see.
Well, I've got some big geek announcements as well.
Cool.
So we'll have I think they're pretty good announcements.
Yeah, I'm not all that exciting, but they are something to say. So
something.
Yep. Shall we jump into the main topic?
Well, maybe we can. Here we go. Looks like our DVR is starting to show up. How about we hold off for a few minutes and let folks come in.
Right.
Get in here.
So I'm kind of excited, but I'm keeping a list, and I'm finding my list is getting longer to do. Hey, Aaron Wilkerson, what's up, Green Apple Phone Guy? My list is getting longer. Got a handful of things I need to get done, little projects I want to get done. Of course, the adventure is still hanging over my head, but that's okay. I've got something else I'm trying to write up. And then
get it done.
Done. Get good, Randy. That's all I can say. So.
Well, it looks like we got a couple of DVR Army folks in here. My wife was telling me, yes, I3Lou.
Yep.
Is, I believe, a DVR. Yep.
So, Murky.
She had a particularly good, I don't know if it was part of their live stream or if it was just a, she did a scam baiting.
Oh, yeah.
And went really well.
Cool.
The folks were trying to pawn off some supplements and stuff as, they're all natural, so they have no drug interactions and no side effects, and they're completely safe without any issues, which if you got half a brain, that That's never true.
Right.
I mean, you could just eat an orange and have a reaction. So, whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway, she got a really good pat on the back.
Yeah.
And I believe they said they're going to have a recording of that available for posterity.
Very cool. Yeah, Phone Guy and Murky are backing that up. They're saying she did a heck of a job. What's up, Glitch? I like that name, Glitch. That's a cool name. Glitch. So, but yeah, D&D wise, I almost did a little discussion tonight of guess I'm about to. I think was it Patrick? Patrick sent me a link. I didn't explore it very much about WotC getting sensitivity readers since the Hadozi event during Spelljammer.
But there's a new thing?
But I thought they already had the sensitivity readers and they just failed. But now they're going to have sensitivity readers on all their projects moving forward.
They had to have already had that to some degree.
But the Hadozi got past them, so maybe they weren't very sensitive. Maybe the sensitivity was set.
No. Yeah, their sensitivity wasn't set. No, it probably was already set to 11. But for some people, it needs to be set to like 15.
Yeah. Well, it never ends. Who's going to be the next group that's going to get more offended than the other? So yeah, it never ends. So
it's grasping at straws for the oppression Olympics.
Bunch of gobbledygook.
Yeah.
But WotC can do whatever they want. I'm not interested. Whoa, what is this, Murky? Tell me it ain't so. I've never played a full game of D&D. Only other alike dice games like Who's John and Mini Quest. Oh, dude, you need to do that. Don't you need to absolutely get yourself into a sweet D&D game? There's nothing better. So, not for my money anyway.
No, it's great bang for your buck. I mean, you get lots of replayability, better than any video game, better than any card game. Yeah. You do a lot of the same things you do when you sit down for party games or card games or whatever. You're sitting around making decisions. There's a random element, but there's a lot more dimensions to it.
Yep.
And you still get to just sit around and shoot the crap and do what you normally do when you're hanging out with your friends. You just have extra stuff.
And if you're not set on playing the newest and coolest version of the game, you can pick up a clone like Old School Essentials. You bought the advanced book, didn't you, Joe? How much was it? $40?
Something like that.
$40, and it's one book, and it covers everything. So you could play years on that one book. So it's hard. Entertainment for the bucks. Role playing can't be beat. I mean, you don't have to collect all this crap like I have. That's just crazy. So, Legion in the house. What's up, bro?
Either one is good. Good evening is fine, and also howdy. They're both good.
Okay, cool. Oh, Murky says he don't have any in real life friends. Boo! He must be far off in some nether region.
Well, you can play online too. It's not ideal, but it beats not playing at all.
It's a thing. So people love it. Oh.
There's all kinds of alternatives to the current thing that the current Frankenstein game WotC has out.
Right.
You've got not only the Old School Essentials and clones. You can go on eBay and pick up older versions of the game. When you go too far back, they get pretty pricey, or they're in bad shape, or both.
Oh, what did I see this week on eBay? I saw something that was cool. There was a original copy of Lost Caverns of Sojanth. Before it was a tournament module. It was all in black and white with a forward by Gary Gygax. So it was like the official first one that was put out at Gen Con. And the bidding started at $2,700. Oh, Darth, look at that. He's right. For Gold and Glory is just AD&D second edition. It's just one book and was around $20 for a hardback. Dude,
right.
You can't beat that with a stick.
No, not in this day and age when brand new games are like $60 for the hardcovers.
If you do board games that are like in board games, oh my God,
$100 easy.
Yeah, some of those fancy board games are pricey, dude. They got a bunch of minis. Yeah, you're paying more than $100 probably.
Yeah, actually, I was speaking of board games. I was listening to latest Legion of Myth that's out on podcast.
Yeah.
And they were talking about doing board game reviews, but I hadn't really got that going. But it'd be cool. We have a board game geek here with us, in Pat. That would be cool. If he could, it could be a thing we do with Pat.
Oh yeah, Pat's for our group. He's kind of the king of the board games, isn't he?
Yeah, and he's got a whole bookshelf wall full of them.
Yeah, probably multiple.
Yeah.
But looks like we're getting a crowd. You want to jump in the topic? Oh, I responded to that. Go ahead and read it.
Mr. Max Boivin says, I don't have in real life friends nearby either, and I don't have a decent internet connection because I'm in the middle of nowhere. I watch you in 240p. Oh, that's got it. Well, I mean, it is us, so you're not missing much.
I assume that's not really good video.
No.
1080p is kind of normal for TVs these days.
Well, 1080p is kind of meh for TVs. So your TV is a 4K.
Oh, okay.
Which is 4 1080p's, essentially.
Our man wants to know if you're really in jail. Why does he think you're in jail?
Oh, because of the plain wall, the way this wall looks. No, I'm not.
Okay, no. You're doing good, our man.
No, I for various reasons, I just reconfigured my room. I'm going to put some decorations up in here, and the walls are going to change color at some point, spontaneously.
Spontaneous, yeah.
Without having to paint them.
Yeah, I'm going to pick up something, do some rearranging here too, but I got room to move around a little bit more than I did before, but still some blockage. Yeah. Castles and Crusades. Someone mentioned it's free on the PDF is free. So. Yeah. And there's lots of system reference documents. You can always use those to get your game on. You can play. Our hobby is so low cost for entry level. You can't beat it. Yeah, I've been reading Dungeon and Delvers, the PDF. Haven't got my hardback yet, but it's interesting. I think Mr. David Guile took a nice twist on some 3rd edition, 5th edition mixed stuff with a few other things and a little old school flair. His game is pretty slick. I have to say I'm liking what I'm seeing. So,
okay, give me a moment before you start.
Okay.
I have Gilded, which is like Discord, and I joined this this one server, and I'm just going to close it. Everything went blank in my screen. Oh, there we go. I got to close it here too. It's like notification hell. I'm getting constant because it's a very busy server. Oh, come on.
So Gilded is like Discord?
Yeah.
Okay. I know I'm part of that. I don't check it very often because, well, I suck at stuff like that. Lady One's in the house. Well, I think the crowd is building up here. Pretty cool.
Okay. There we go. I just turned off notifications. Oof. That's good. I was trying to figure that out on the fly, and I just accidentally hit the right spot. All right. Let's get going. We're
burning daylight, but not really. Yeah. So here the main topic. We'll talk about attributes, not just in D&D, but mainly in D&D and other RPGs. We're going to kind of do some comparison of attributes, and then I want to answer some other questions, more general questions about attributes. Maybe I should do generally first. I don't know. Maybe we should go with the questions first. What do you think, Joe? Before we hit all that, maybe we can just come back to the other systems as we go.
Sure, hit the questions, and then we'll do the other stuff.
Yeah. So with attributes, things like in D&D, you would think of strength, dexterity, constitution, intelligence, wisdom, and constitution, charisma. Let me take a look here. I'm going to try to share something. We know that's a dangerous thing. What's the new word now? It's not share.
Present.
Let me present something to you because we love presenting. We're very presentational.
Yeah, it might be just because it's new. It's kind of like Discord. Flady is saying he just started using Gilded and he finds it harder to use. Yeah. I just think it's similar but slightly different. So
The nature of attributes. So we're talking about there's no uniform consensus on what ability scores are. So should they be strength? Should they be stamina? Even if many role-playing games have them, but games that use them have a common theme. According to a BBC Cult TV website, all characters have attributes, physical and mental. And so in Pathfinder and D&D, there's 6 of them. It says in such games as, what does it say, beginning with bunnies and burrows, including more modern versions in D&D, the attribute works with the skill to affect the overall outcome. And one of my first sort of big questions, so we could talk about the different attribute system using D&D as the main impetus here. How big of a role, so if we're talking about attributes, your mental and physical attributes, not necessarily skills, how big of a role do you think they should play in the overall power level of your character? And I guess that brings, go ahead. Well, just in general, what do you think? Should attributes be the be all and tell all of the power of your character?
I vacillate on this because I've thought about that when we've been mulling over our own rules, and some systems they barely figure in at all.
Mm-hmm.
And some systems, it's an amalgam of that and skill, depending on what you're talking about. And even in those, sometimes the skill plays a larger role than the stat. Sometimes your level or your character, some other figure based on your character's power level is in the mix as well. This is really, I think, as subjective as anything else in our hobby.
I think it really is.
Because, I mean, it depends on whether you are looking to emulate what you think real life is with regard to your a person's base capabilities outside of anything they've been trained in. Mm-hmm. Are you trying to simulate that? Are you trying to emulate that? Are you trying to emulate some other literary genre or visual media like comics or movies? So it probably just depends on what your base conceits are for your game. So you probably just want to pick one.
Yeah,
I don't think any of these paradigms are necessarily superior to any of the other ones.
Yeah,
not necessarily.
I think it's interesting. I think in D&D, oh gosh, it's so hard to say, but in early D&D, your stats were pretty good. I mean, they were pretty significant initially, but that could run dry if you didn't, say in TSR editions, if you never gained any magic items, your level would help some, but you could really struggle.
Well, I think in the earliest editions of D&D, your stats didn't matter much.
Yeah. Oh, sure. OD&D, they were almost minuscule. I mean, I was looking, and maybe someone here can correct me. I was looking at my OD&D Men in Magic book. I couldn't find modifiers for strength, for attacking. They weren't there.
Just damage, right?
Didn't even damage. No, not even damage. So everything was a D6. John Slow makes a good comment. Natural aptitude attributes should be more meaningful at low level, low skill. Skills or experience should be more as the character ages. That's a fair approach.
Yeah, that's more of a simulation, maybe emulation type paradigm. What you think real life is like.
That's where third edition lost a lot of its cred, is because your stats kept bumping up and up and up forever.
The thing is, you could say that your skill is increasing, but you could also say that your natural capabilities are being honed.
Sure.
Like your strength could increase, your knowledge, maybe even your reasoning capacity. It used to be people thought that you couldn't really increase that, but now more and more, I think research is showing that you can to some degree. Mm-hmm. So, and your wisdom definitely can get better with time. So, is that skills or is that you?
Yeah. Mr. Boisban makes a couple interesting points. He says, this reminds me in the HEMA community, I don't know what that is, a few years back, some people were pissed off that new athletic guys would join a club and just win because of their athleticism, despite not knowing techniques. Yeah. HEMA, I don't know if that stands for.
HEMA is a martial arts organization in Europe.
Yeah.
I can't remember, is it historical European martial arts, something like that?
Yeah. And Max later on says, I see the same when I coach powerlifting. Some people are just naturally strong, and this will help them at first, but soon enough, technique is important. I've been on both ends of that. I mean, I don't know if I've told this story here. My ex-wife took a class in racquetball when we were in college. And I know I don't look it, but Joe can verify I'm moderately athletic for a fat guy. And she took this class. She got an A in racquetball, so she wanted to play me. I had never played the game before. I beat her the very first time I played. And it was because I was more athletic, I hit harder, and I was flinging myself against the wall, which she wasn't willing or able to do. And she got really upset. My technique is better. What I've learned is sometimes there's no accounting for athletic advantage. When I play basketball, I can outshoot. Most of the time, I'm one of the better shooters on the floor. If you're just picking up random dudes, I shoot as well as pretty much anybody. I don't think I'm bragging when I say that. But it doesn't mean I'm going to do well. I mean, when I played at college one time a few years ago, not in college, at my college with some of the younger guys, they stick a guy's about 6'4" on me and very athletic. He shut me down. Even though I'm more technically skilled than him, I couldn't get a shot off. It didn't matter. So, yeah, I mean, this is in real life, you got to kind of live with that. I think your experience can count more if you're both equally athletic. So
and it depends on the arena.
Yes.
In some instances, athleticism, natural abilities can weigh more heavily in certain situations than your training and technique. So, hey, T-shirted.
What's up, buddy? Glad you're here. Yeah, I think your attribute, I think your strength, intelligence, sometimes skill. There's a point where, your skill can only take you so far too. You can train perfectly, but if you're a 5 foot, 5'6", 138-pound man who's spindly and thin and is the master, you learned all the techniques for the black belt. I'm not saying you couldn't be dangerous, but if you face off against a guy that's 6'4", 220, 2% body fat, and he's got what's the middle of the road belt? Orange belt. If it's an actual fight and not just a little scene, you might get your face kicked in.
You might. Orange belt. Okay.
I don't know the color.
Yeah. I would say, yeah. It all depends.
Middle belt or someone that's close to black belt, but you're a black belt.
And it all depends on when they get to fighting, whether they use those techniques or not, or whether that 220-pound guy just punches him in the face really hard.
Well, if he's really fast, even if he has no technique, he could be a guy off the street. I mean, I've seen people with, quote unquote skills get owned.
And the technique guy, the technique guy might get in some good licks, but the bigger guy might not notice them.
May not feel it as much, and then when he gets in close, it might be lights out.
Because us big guys, we can absorb some punishment.
Yeah. So Legion's trying to get us back on track a little bit, I think. My point.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, though, an individual all by themselves, comparing people against each other is useful as well. But what Legion says, my point wasn't about comparing two different people, but about an individual. When comparing, I think skill is slightly more important, but natural aptitude is important.
Yeah.
Sure. The thing is, take your pick which one's more important for your game system if you're making one. I think people can justify either one being more important.
Yeah. So when you're playing your game, you absolutely have to make that decision. So I guess we're saying, so then the next question might be mute. Maybe we agree with this. So in a game like D&D, TSR, there were no skills. There were, what do they call them?
Proficiencies.
But there were proficiencies. And then before that, they had
non-weapon proficiencies.
Yeah. But before that, before they even brought those in second edition, those were
secondary skills. Secondary
skills, or those never seemed to have too much to them, in my opinion. They were fine; people liked them. Do you think attributes should modify skills, or should skills just be? I mean, like in Savage Worlds, attributes they don't modify skills. What they do, which is kind of interesting, your attribute, if you're really high in, say, agility, you got a high score in agility in Savage Worlds. it makes it easier for you to get better at fighting, because fighting is based on agility.
Correct.
Once
Easier it's lower cost for that skill.
And I think that mimics what we're talking about with Mr. Max Boivin there, is that if you're a natural athlete, you will learn the martial art quickly to a certain point. You know, there'll be certain physical skills that you'll just be good at, right? So I think in that respect, I think Savage Worlds mimics that pretty well. Do you think that? I can't imagine that attributes shouldn't modify skills, but you could have them. I think Savage Worlds does that in a different way. You don't get a stat.
Well, the thing is, different systems handle the skill attribute issue. Like you buy the skill and maybe, or you have the skill based on a background or whatever, and instead of maybe your attribute modifying the skill, your attribute sets your success level. So if you are athletic and you have a high dexterity, maybe you roll under your dexterity. Depends on the system.
Right. Do you think there should be, how many levels of differences should there be in attributes? I mean, do you think, I guess in a fantasy game you could say whatever, because that's what 3rd edition did. Your strength could get as high as you could get it, right?
So for 3rd edition?
For 3rd edition, your strength could be as high as you wanted. I mean, you theoretically.
Theoretically, it could be any number.
Yeah. Do you think that's better if you go old school, where you have a range of 3 to 18, and only magic takes you out of a certain, or even 5th edition, you get a range of 3 to 20, and only magic or special circumstances move you beyond that?
Well, I mean, there's a practical limit in 3rd edition. You have the base number you start with, plus however many stat bumps you get based on your level.
Plus,
and if you stop at 20, then you stop at 20. You only get 4 bumps or 5 bumps. So,
well, but if you get 5 bumps, technically you're probably going to have an 18. Let's be honest. If you're doing point build,
right, and then so you could have a 28.
Well, 23 with just five bumps. 18.
Aren't they plus 2s?
Oh, are they? Oh,
maybe I'm remembering differently.
I can't remember either. It doesn't matter. So you'd have some cap. Then you have magic items, which could add up to 8. Actually, magic items had lots of. Then they had crazy. Remember later on in the deep end of the pool, when we were well into 3.5, it was getting heavy. There were all sorts of weird bonuses that magic items would stack on. I mean, you know, we had characters 36. When we played the 7.
Right, because you could have whatever the name of the bonus was that your magic item gave you.
Right.
And then you could get a different coded bonus from a different. There weren't a lot of them, but there were some.
And luck bonuses were unlimited. They would stack.
Yeah.
So that was pretty crazy. But in a magical world, you could say, well, you get crazy characters. That's in 3rd edition. Yeah, I don't know if that's Martinson. I think he's talking 5e there. I don't think that was 3rd edition. Plus 2 or 2 stats.
I can't remember.
It's too long ago. It really doesn't matter at this point. Ironman says he dislikes using attributes as the target roll. D20 versus your attribute is a newer part of my game. Tasks are more complicated than just a strength or dex roll. They can be. I'm experimenting with not a new one that I stole off the internet that I'm modifying in a game that I'm working on. And it's not rolling a D20 though. So we'll see how that works out, how it plays out.
Right. Yeah, I agree with Armin on in one respect. I think I mentioned this while we were talking about a game. If someone would say the high intelligence or any high stat, they can do anything with regard to that stat. If you're rolling a D20 roll under,
yes,
just about. So let's say I have a character that has an 18 intelligence, and we're trying to know something. Now, this is up to the DM. You could assign a penalty or say it's outside of your realm of experience or whatever. But anytime you're consulting an intelligence check or any, like I was saying, any stat check, it's just a little too easy. Yeah,
we saw that early on in OSE when we were doing, or in our first Mud Sword run through. you happen to have a 17 or 18 intelligence wizard. And so if you manage to get that, and we allow them to roll 4d6, drop the lowest place where you want. People can argue that's generous, that's fine. But if you're rolling d20, roll under, you knew everything. Everything wanted to demand, every intelligence check you had to make, you practically guaranteed it.
Which means the DM has to either just roll with that, or has to on the fly always be thinking of how, rare or difficult a particular task or area of knowledge is. And so it's requires more of the DM. This type of system requires more of the DM, the roll under, than having just target numbers.
Right. I think even my system is going to require more than the DM, but right now I'm fond of it. Legion says, I like abstract attributes where there's no specific limit, lift carry, for X attribute. That way they can grow without pedantry. I'm not sure what he means. Well, actually, I think he's trying to instill increased success chance. Do you know what he means by that?
I have no idea.
Are you saying you like the 3rd edition where the stat can go? No, I didn't think so. That's not Max's thing. He's saying
no. I think he's talking about roll under, but I'm not sure exactly what you're talking about.
Okay, roll under. All right, gotcha. Yeah, I know in some of our players, especially as you get higher level, when it comes to stat, I don't know if it's attributes or skills, especially if they come into it. If they modify an attribute, once you get leveled up, you're so skillful, you should probably hardly ever, fail. What does Iron Man mean here? The difference between someone figuring out a task with 12 intelligence versus 18 intelligence should be nearly the same.
I disagree.
I don't
why
think
nearly
so.
the same? Then why have a different number?
Yeah.
That's one thing. The old edition D&D stat ranges for bonuses, to me, there were +1, 0, -1.
Yeah.
And now with a roll under system, there is some value to having different stats.
Right.
But if you have target numbers, then you have 3 different stats. You have -1, 0, +1. Those are your stats.
That's how D&D did it early on. Yeah.
And it doesn't really matter what your stats are at that point, really.
Not if you're doing target numbers, which is why.
Not if you're doing target numbers. If you're doing roll under, then it matters.
Yeah.
But it'd be interesting to know why. I've heard something like this before. Why should it be nearly the same with a 12 or 18 intelligence?
Really, I guess I don't see why it would be true. Maybe Iron Man's catching something I'm not. I'm thinking roll under. Maybe he's thinking a different thing, or is his claim more of an opinion that I think people with a 12 intelligence, which is above average, versus a genius, which is 18. I mean, going on D&D.
Yeah.
Description.
Okay. Here we go. Legion of Myth is qualifying. I don't like it when strength says, and 11 means you can lift 100 pounds. People get too pedantic over what that means via real world physics. Vice, you have a X%. Now shut up and roll. Okay, so I understand what he's talking about. Instead of having a hard number for your strength, you have a % chance of lifting a thing. And so at any particular time, maybe your muscles are weak or your technique was off or whatever you were carrying slips out of your hand, you have a chance of lifting it.
Yeah.
Instead of you can lift X pounds. Now,
go ahead.
I wouldn't. That would be something you would do in stressful situations. So if you're just picking up your backpack and putting it on your shoulder, you're not going to make them roll for that. No. But if you are trying to lift something heavy off of your buddy who's getting crushed underneath it, then you make them roll something like that.
And then I guess, but then with that kind of percentile, you have that issue with what if someone has a 20% chance strength, someone has an 80, the one rolls 80 gets an 82 and fails. One that's 20 goes, 0.5, I made it. The little
that doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
Open the stuck door. Now that was possible in other cases too. I got a -3, but I could roll a 20 and still end up getting a 17, which is what I needed. But it seems like, I guess, can you avoid that? I think if you say 11 only allows you to apply a force of 100 pounds per square inch or whatever you want to do. If that's the case, then that's more. Then you could say, yeah, you can't open this door. Though,
Well,
John,
it's a matter of predictability versus abstractions. Lots of people
Yeah.
like abstractions, and I get it. The chance that someone that has an 80% chance of lifting a thing is going to fail, and then the person with the 20% chance is going to succeed is very small.
I've heard this. I wonder if this is true. T-shirt says for int, at least you can look at it as a measure of IQ. A 10 intelligence is equal to 100 IQ, so a 20 would be a 200 IQ. I wonder if that's the case in D&D. With that in mind, you have some ideas about how smart a character really is. Yeah, in the real world. I think Legion's saying he hates too much reliance on the real world, especially in a fantasy game.
Well, that and hard numbers. I don't think so.
I don't think so, dude.
Iron Man says anyone can figure out a task with average intelligence, maybe given time.
Yep.
It's possible. And help. But
and
the person with 18 intelligence gets a bonus, but not 30% or 40%. Pure intelligence is not usually the case for solving anything.
Okay, sure, that's fair. But it does a lot. Very smart people.
And the thing is, strength, dexterity, and constitution are fairly hard as far as relationship between the what it's talking about and your physicality.
Right.
Intelligence and wisdom, maybe charisma to a lesser extent, are a little more fuzzy, because what is intelligence?
Yeah.
Precisely.
And what is
Is it IQ?
Intelligence should be probably your reasoning capacity. Wisdom, I don't know what that's supposed to be. Me and a friend were talking, you know, Greg T, we were talking this past week about combining wisdom and charisma as a willpower score. That always seemed to make more sense, but that's me.
Correct. So Iron Man also says almost nothing in RPG is based upon one stat. Depends on what version of what game. I know in D&D it's almost always been one stat, unless you're talking about your level. Sometimes that was added in, but early on it was just your stat. So yeah, it was at some point. But what you're saying, what I agree with here is, what are you solving? Knowledge is not intelligence. Correct. You can't pull info out of your rear. You have to have, it has to come from somewhere.
But you can deduce things. I do that with my students all the time. When I teach, they may not have a clue what I'm talking about with the derivative. But if I tell them, this is the idea, how do you think we do it? Sometimes they can come up with that on their own. They don't need me to tell them, quote unquote, the rule. Climbing a wall is strength, dex, and intelligence.
In what game?
Well, I mean, he's saying in a practical situation, I believe. I don't want to speak for Iron Man. I think there's a little bit of that. I would say it's mostly strength and then dex, but intelligence, where to put your hand and stuff like that, sure.
Yeah, maybe you're saying in real life that's what it should be, or if you're emulating real, maybe. But D&D, I don't know. That doesn't sound right.
What does it say here?
I could be wrong. I mean, there could be an early version of D&D where they talk about this stuff and it uses all three, but I don't remember that.
Yeah, I do think we could argue which stats we should use, which is kind of fun to think about. I mean, I'm toying with a saving throw mechanic Joe knows about a little bit, where I'm going to marry together a couple of the D&D stats on the saving throws for the modifier. I'm thinking, something like, if you're going to make a fortitude, let your strength and your con affect that, and your reflex, let your dexterity and your intelligence, intelligence being seeing an attack coming, let them be modified, and then wisdom and charisma affect any kind of willpower saving throw, force of personality, years of experience, knowledge, background, wisdom. We used to always say wisdom was street smarts. That was kind of a weird thing to say.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, L is saying something here, except for the eye rolling is nice. You get 3d6 worth of score, and you have to roll a d20. You can't have much fidelity to work with when the spread is so narrow. I guess it's just part of the game. Stop trying to make sense of it. We always do that.
Yeah, we always try to make sense of it. It's fun. That's the fun part.
Now, what I agree with is you can't pinpoint it too heavily because it is abstract. So you have to, the way I always say is you pick something and you do it. So that's what many of these games do. They pick a method of doing your skills, and that's what you get. I don't think you can say this method better emulates the real than any of the other ones, because
that's what you want.
Because honestly, pulling off a task, there's innumerable variables in it that you're not going to emulate in a game because it would take too much figuring and to little value. So what he's saying is correct to a degree.
Mr. Boivin said something I think I kind of don't fully agree with, but I see what he's saying. There are some types of knowledge you can deduce. There are some things you can deduce, some you can't. Okay, actual facts, right. No matter how much you ponder on it, you won't be able to know the name of the King of Belgium in 1820 unless you learn it somewhere. But I would claim that a person that's highly intelligent, who can have reasoning skills that are both efficient, proper, and fast, would learn knowledge faster. I wouldn't even claim that. That's a fact. They would remember things easier. Now, you're right. If they don't know it, they don't know it. But maybe they could tell you all about the King of Belgium just by knowing the culture and the political situation in 1820, even if, meaning could say, well, the nobles were putting pressure on him here, and the religious people were putting pressure on him here, and the peasantry had problems with this. So he can make some deductions that could be labeled intelligence or wisdom. In fact, the Bible sometimes calls wisdom, it refers to wisdom as intelligence. I mean, that's how it does. So, yeah.
Yeah, like I was saying earlier, the intelligence, wisdom, to a lesser degree, charisma, those are all kind of fuzzy. They're kind of fuzzy in what they precisely mean. Strength is pretty much precise and exact. Constitution, maybe a tiny bit less so, but dexterity more spot on. But intelligence is a little fuzzy.
Mental stats are fuzzier.
Yeah.
How many? I mean, I know we had the 6 attributes in D&D. How many attributes? I guess you can't say should you have. It sounds like, I mean, I would, in some sense, I'm kind of happy with folding certain things together, but I guess, I don't know, I've played with the 6 stats for D&D so long, I really kind of like them. I'm just kind of enamored of them. What's L saying? Am I going to have to prove him wrong again? Randy, objection. Intelligence is meaningless to how easy something is to learn. False. Look at people with good math grades, bad, I think he said bad history grades and vice versa. No, good math grades and bad history grades don't necessarily mean that you're intelligent. You can get good math grades and just be good at memorizing stuff and learning patterns. It could be a variety of things. I think what intelligence measures, and you're right, I think you can be intelligent. I've had people that were intelligent that hated math and they wouldn't try, and so they'd barely get by, or they'd fail. So I don't think that. I think intelligence does allow you to reason well in pretty much any field. A highly intelligent person can reason in almost any, definitely an academic field. Doesn't mean you can do everything well. I'm not saying that. So what you said could happen, but it doesn't mean you're not intelligent. You might get you might get a bad grade in history because you hate it and you just won't work in that class. Yeah.
There's a lot to that that's not being said. Just because somebody gets a good grade here and a bad grade here doesn't mean anything. You have to have more data than just a grade in one class and a grade in another class.
Yeah. Sure, in a practical sense, this is interesting. Armin says, if we need a bridge, my money is on the average intelligence farmer and not the magic user. Sure, he probably doesn't have engineering experience, but I would also take the low intelligence, say the 10 intelligent dwarf who's built bridges his whole life over the farmer.
Yeah, because the farmer might not know anything about building bridges either.
And then that's skill. But yeah, it's a combination. I'm not arguing they don't matter. They're all connected. I mean, I get it.
What's okay? Emulating, I think all of this talk is really emblematic of these games don't represent real.
Right.
We cannot simulate real with very small amounts of data. Your game character has very little, a very small amount of information about that you have on the paper compared to what you could write about you as a person. Although you may not believe that, but it's true. Your character has your character sheet has very little on it. It doesn't emulate real. It's not supposed to. It's supposed to be a vehicle for you to have a fun time. So that's why I usually just say pick it and do it.
Yeah.
Pick something and do it.
Dartheic there is quoting, I think, something really close to this. Quick Google search on intelligence, the ability to acquire, understand, and use knowledge. Yeah, I mean, we all have the gathering of such information, especially secret information gathered about an actual potential. See, now that sounds weird, but
no. Intelligence when it comes to secret
gather intelligence.
Spies. That's it. Yeah.
Yeah, true.
I think what game designers, I hope that they're not trying to emulate real. I hope what they're trying to do is have a set of things that make a fun game.
I think fun game, but I don't want it to be, look how fun it is to roll these dice, but the rules don't make any sense.
Correct. It still has to make sense, have internal logic and whatnot, but you still don't need it to, you need it to have some sense, maybe a shadow of the real, because we need some of that.
Yes.
But it doesn't have to be precise.
Yeah. Who was it? T-shirt said he has 9 stats in his game. That's interesting. And Martinson says a new game he just got called We Deal in Lead has only 3 stats. That's like Numenera. There's only 3 stats. Did you look at the phase rip link there? That's interesting.
Phase rip. It's everything's tables.
Yeah.
So your stat determines what column you use, but depending on circumstances, that can be modified somewhat.
Yeah.
You can get a column shift one way or the other.
Yeah. I'll share just real quickly, not for a long time. I'm sure most of the folks have seen it, but I will share.
Probably why a lot of people like it. It's very simple to use.
Oh, it really is. There is the phase rip chart. I know you can't hardly, it doesn't come
Can't really see it.
No. See if I can make
that. There you go.
At the top, the battle effects, and you got the table. You have feeble, poor, typical, good, and so on, extraordinary. They have the ranking. So if you have a typical stat, you want to get usually, and your target is to get a green success or a yellow success. Of course, the colors get harder. You notice when you get to like scores in the uncanny range, it's pretty easy. Those are lower percentiles that you have to roll to be successful. It's an interesting, I have to admit, the one time, I don't know if you recall this at Cabin Con, let me stop showing this. One time at Cabin Con, I played Phase Rip just out of the blue. We ran a game and it was kind of fun. It was a very enjoyable skill system. VTM, I should know that. Vampire the Masquerade has 9 stats. Yeah, that's one system I only played. I think Joe may have played more than me. I played twice. I played a few short sessions of not Dark World. What was it? Dark Ages Vampire. Like a modern Vampire the Masquerade. And by modern, I mean back then it was the first edition. And I didn't quite fully get that system. I know it wasn't terribly complicated with the pips and the dots and all that stuff. So yeah, I don't know if I have much of an opinion on that, but that's cool. I have no issues with. It comes down, like you said, Joe, mostly to preference and what you enjoy. If it makes enough sense to you, then it works.
If you're more of a simulation, if simulation has more meaning to you, you're probably going to want more stats.
Yep.
The more abstract-minded you are, especially your temperament for this game, for this hobby. Yep. Maybe fewer stats you're going to like. Yeah. Because the games with the fewer stats are, usually more abstract overall. Certainly, what's the one that we've played with the 3 stats?
Numenera?
Yeah, Numenera, that whole cipher system.
Cool.
Yeah.
What is it called?
Monty Cook.
Monty Cook
What?
system. What is that called?
The cipher system.
Oh,
The
sorry.
cipher system.
What's it called, Joe? You keep saying it. I don't get it.
Yeah. I'll say it again. The cipher system. So it has three stats, and it's hugely abstract.
Oh, yeah. In Savage Worlds, while it's not abstract, it does ease things into there because it gives you 5 stats, so barely a step away from D&D, but at least you're just rolling. You have a die type for the stat, and then you get a D6 because you're a wild card and you roll. Your skill is higher, you get to use that die type. And so that makes it pretty simple to apply, and it's still fairly abstract. You tend to have more successes. I think Savage Worlds, in some ways, I don't know. Sometimes it's pretty swingy. It's a swingy game, so you tend to have a lot of moderate successes, and then some great successes, and then some epic failures. So if you're in for if you're in for pretty crazy action stuff, Savage Worlds is pretty cool. I mean, you get lots of swings in the success category. What about something like Fate?
I've never played it, so I have really no idea.
I dislike Fate simply because of who the guy that makes it in the company. They're kind of douchebags. But Fate is very bizarre, where you describe your skills as well.
Is that the one where you don't really have stats? You just have moves.
You have sentences defining aspects of your character, like I am a detective and I have issue with alcohol. So you describe yourself that way. I'm a very
So, question. I'm sorry to interrupt.
Go ahead.
Was Fate around first or Cipher System? Because this sounds just like Cipher.
Fate was first. That is like the Dresden game, yes, Martinson. And you describe your aspects of your character. I am a supernatural detective. I never give up on my man. I'll always catch my man. And I am addicted to alcohol. Yes, correct. That's the problem I had with it, Darth. I do think Fate could be you could have a fun experience, but I would very carefully cultivate my table, and people would you have to be there. First of all, it's more of a story game than it is a true roll out of dice game. But everybody has to be there to tell a cool story. And if that's not what you're about, which a lot of us here are not about that, then you're
not
out.
It's the primary goal. I mean,
that's kind of it has to be, because Darth
for us, it's more the emergent story from the play, not you're trying to imagine some elaborate story and all that. No. But yeah, so Fate, it's interesting. Fate, you describe your character's capabilities with sentences, or you describe your whole character with a sentence.
Yeah.
So which one is it?
You roll. Yeah. So you use a couple of sentences to describe. I don't know how it works completely.
Right. But that sounds like Cipher. In Cipher System, you describe your character with a sentence. Yeah. You still have stats, but that sentence determines all your character's capabilities.
Correct. It's actually codified.
Mm-hmm.
I am a glaive who swings swords with magical affinity.
Yeah, something like that.
If you look in the book, each one of those phrases literally means something. So you don't make them up. In Fate, you make them up, and it's a bargaining game between you and the DM and the other players. Like I said, Darth is not far from wrong. It's basically BS fest. But if you get players that want to min-max, if you're a player that likes to squeeze out every advantage that you can, then Fate's going to just fall flat. It's going to be a big, fabulous argument. I have wondered that, El. Fate sounds like the perfect thing for. I wouldn't call him a fake gamer like Shauner. You call him fake. I won't call Shauner a fake gamer. He's a unique gamer. He has his own style. I'm surprised I wonder if he likes Fate. Dreads. Oh yeah. Now this takes some effort. Martinson ran Dread at Cabin Con once, which we had a hell of a time with it. It uses a questionnaire. So basically, you just answer a whole bunch of questions. And he's not kidding.
That's the Jenga one.
20 or 30 questions, right? Yeah, the Jenga one. So, yeah. Legion does back me up, or back L up. He does think Fate would be good for Shauner. I could play Fate. I could run Fate. But it would have to be, I feel like what does that one guy on Nerd Cognito call him? Sparkle Troll?
Sparkle trolls. Yeah.
Sparkle troll. When I say I would, very carefully cultivate my table. I would have a session 0 where we're all on the same page. We're here to tell a story, a dark pulp magical story, and good things and bad things will happen to your character. Because there are some people that never want anything bad to happen to their character. That's okay. When they play D&D, they're like, I'm going to do everything I can and twist every rule that I have, and not trying to cheat, but to keep my dude alive. And they're more concerned about keeping their tune alive than they are role playing. And I'm not pooping on them, but they would not like Fate. They would be annoying to have at a Fate table. So, yeah. But Fate is not for me. What does Elle say?
Yeah, he's just Shauner doesn't think D&D is a role playing game.
Okay.
Essentially, I've heard him say that
argument before. It's good enough for me, dude. He can think what he wants. I don't.
Everybody has their opinions. I mean, we've just displayed a lot of different opinions about attributes that some we agree with, some we don't agree, some. But I mean, we're all. Hey, who cares?
If he loves Traveler, knock yourself out, dude. Play the crap.
Yeah. Shauner and I are never going to sit down at the same table.
No, you would hate
unless we were at a con and try it one time. Then I ask him something. He says, "You can't ask me questions." I'm like, okay, I'm out.
See you, dude. Yeah. Well, hey, whatever. I don't want to poop on the dude. I listen to his podcast sometimes. He's an interesting cat.
Yeah. Yes. He says it's an adventure game, not a role playing game.
Okay. So he wants to define that.
Can it be both? It can be both.
Yeah. Wyman brings us back to focus. How much should an attribute count towards success or failure? Yeah. In modern D&D, you can get up to +6 due to your attribute, but only +5 due to your skill. If you're talking about, what is it called? Proficiency bonus? I believe it counts.
I thought it was +6.
+6. It's +6 as well. You can get a 20 stat, so it's the other way around. Mr. Boivan, it's +5 for having a 20 stat and +6 for your proficiency bonus. So +11 is the max at 20th level, depending on your other little bonuses and magic items and stuff.
They call it bounded accuracy, but really it's called we hate big numbers.
Yeah, I mean, and that's okay. I mean, well, you know what? If you look at 3rd edition, it's not that
got too big.
Yeah, you got to, like Max or
Legion. It made the dice irrelevant.
You got +37. Why are you rolling a D20?
Yeah.
You're going to hit everything. Though, if you want to keep the game going, and I did this for well over 3 years. I played in a campaign, hardcore 3.0, 3.5. Joe was in it. My 7 Spheres game. I put my time in. Joe was rolling at one point, and this is going to sound crazy, you guys. He had a wizard that had DCs in the 50s and 60s, and I still had
ridiculous.
I still had him sweating bullets.
Mm-hmm.
There was stuff. So the game was balanced for us at my table, but it took so much work. Oh my God, I don't even want to tell you how much time I spent every week working on that game. But it was fun.
I think that there's probably a way to strike a balance between not having outlandish numbers. It's still double-digit numbers at most, but between the difference between a 1st level character and a 20th level character performing a skill is 5 or 4, right? Because you get +2 for your proficiency
at 1st level.
+6 is the most. So you have a difference of 4 out of 20 or whatever.
Plus your stat would go up.
Yeah, but all else being equal, it's 4.
Yeah,
which is silly.
Yeah. Legion says a good point here. This is why I like dice pools. I like your Engine 0. I like Aliens. I am not enamored of what's the one that you like, buddy?
The fantasy one.
Fantasyland. What's it called? Not Fantasyland. It looks cool, but I haven't got to get
Jason?
it. No, it's more of an exploration game. It's one of their.
The space one.
It's got a dinosaur guy riding a dinosaur on the box set. Legion will tell us in a second. He knows what it is.
Forbidden Lands? No.
Forbidden Lands. That's it.
Forbidden Lands.
Yeah. I don't think I'll like that as much. I did like Aliens, but it doesn't mean I won't. I do like the dice pools. They seem fun. Nothing like rolling handfuls of dice and trying to count how many successes you have. That's a fun mechanic. It's just fun. We all have buttloads of dice. It's fun to roll them on the table.
Well, that's why I was when I was looking at L5R, I like their roll and keep system pretty well. You get your different dice from different parts of the game, your stat, your skill, and whatever. Maybe you get a bonus die or whatever because of situation, and then you roll them and you keep a certain amount. I think that's pretty good.
Yeah, I think Darth is commenting on my fate thing. He said, I'm a believer that DM should not try and tell a story, as that's the player's part. I agree, and I've been guilty of that. The DM should just create the world the players are in. Yeah, that's true. In Fate, I don't think you can do that. I don't even think that's the intention of the Fate system. It is the opposite, which is where I might withdraw. I said it. I don't have a perfect definition in my head, but I see a difference between a story and a role-playing game. And apparently Shauner sees a difference between a role-playing game and an adventure game. So if we want to define our terms, we could say that. Is this really true? Elle says, oh boy, Shauner angered more people than Garibay. Oh, did he say that on one of his recent streams at D&D?
I have no idea, but I can understand. He's basically calling everybody playing D&D stupid. I mean, it's weird. I mean, I get it. I call everybody all the blue-haired idiots stupid.
Yep. If you play,
they deserve it.
If you play Thirsty Sword Lesbians, then I'm probably going to think you're dumb. So there you go. And Fate is not my favorite, but that's just because I think I like Joe. I think Joe would. I don't know, Joe. You played Fate with a Dresden game one time when Jeff ran it at Cabin Con.
I didn't really like it. This is the thing. So. Yeah. This is the thing. For me.
Yeah.
Not knowing that that's what the game was about made it really difficult to play. So when we played Dresden, I was thinking I would do the same thing Dresden does. I will piss everybody off, somehow contract a disease or get possessed, or all these things that put all the chips against me, but then flip them on their ear and then use them as a bonus, which is essentially what Dresden does in almost every book. He stacks all the dice against him and then uses it to his advantage somehow.
Okay.
But it's very hard to do that to not knowing. Dresden was able to do that because, one, he's the star of the book, and he knows the power players, not all of them. Sometimes that he shot himself in the foot not knowing things and just blundering into things and acting like a big thug. But in the game that we had, we knew nothing.
Yeah.
Right? It was a one shot. So it's that kind of a game for a one shot is really difficult.
Yeah.
Because
you think so?
Sure, unless you're familiar with the system, right? If you're familiar with the system and maybe you're familiar with enough with the setting, maybe. But not knowing either one very well, and you're trying to learn the system and you're just thrown in the deep end, it's really difficult to get a handle on it.
Yeah, I guess for me, it's one of those games. When I read the Fate system, me and Jeff are fond of saying it's the simplest, most confusing system I've ever read. Because again, and I think I understand it, it's a give and take in a story form. It's almost like the telephone game.
Yeah, you're bargaining.
You're bargaining.
I would rather not do that.
Fair enough. Yeah.
I would rather you tell me the scenario, I tell you what I want to do, and then it's kind of bargaining in a way, but much less so. You have the scenario, I tell you what I'm going to do, and you say, this is what you need to do to succeed. Right?
Yeah.
That's instead of finagling.
Right. Well, you finagle for Fate chips and stuff like that, but I get it. Do you like my arcane series of words that I just put together on the fly, or not? Maybe I stumbled all over the words, so I don't
I'm not able to get chips out of you. So it's just weird.
Huh. So, yeah, I think that's fair. What's your current favorite? If I had to corner you, push you into a corner and say, man, there's going to be a new game, and they're going to use one of the systems that Joe likes, or if there's
You
going to
would
be,
probably roll and keep.
oh, would it? You like
Probably. Yeah, I think so. If you had to really, at right now, I think that's probably what I would do. Some sort of dice pool, like Max is saying, because I think it can be as swingy probably, but it's I think you can make a better game around dice pools than just having bigger numbers, which is what, and maybe just we're so used to playing D&D, having played all through the 3.5 and Pathfinder eras, that big numbers seem less interesting. But a dice pool seems more interesting. It might just be perception, but that's what I would do.
Yeah, I guess for me, dice pool sounds fun, but God, I can't seem to break away from the target numbers. I like target numbers.
Well, you can still have target numbers with dice pools.
Yeah, true. And I love this.
I mean, that's what L5R does.
I love
it has a roll and keep, and then it has a whole range of, it has a universal kind of standard target number chart.
Yeah, I think I like target numbers. I like rolling a d20, but I get right now when you say dice pools, they are kind of fun. I've played a few dice pool games. I've not run too many. I do like them.
See, with rolling a d20 with target numbers, to really, you got 5th edition, which has weenie numbers. It's kind of, bubble wrapped game. Mm-hmm. And then you have 3rd edition, which has 2 big numbers. Mm-hmm. And then you can go back to 1st and 2nd edition, and that's fine because there weren't as nearly as many sources of bonuses.
Sure.
But it had a similar problem in that once you got to like double-digit levels, the books themselves didn't provide the challenges. The DM had to come up with.
That's true. That is true.
So, right. So you could have to mishmash a couple of the different editions to get something better, or you just stay out of the higher levels, which a lot of people like to do.
In 1E Pathfinder, I know, what was his name? Bruce is here. He might know. Who was the guy? James something was one of the top 3 or 4 guys at Paizo when 1E Pathfinder came out. And at some point around Bestiary 2 or 3, they asked him, do you just not make monsters for, he goes, how come we don't make more monsters to challenge higher level characters? Why do your adventure paths end at 15? He goes, there's really no monsters to challenge characters higher than 15. He literally, not Sutter. No, that's not it, Bruce. James Jacobs. James Jacobs. He may not be there anymore. And so anyway, he said that really was not something they'd ever done. And it kind of makes me a little annoyed because the game has levels 16 through 20. So.
Hey, FASA, didn't they make Tor, that game Tor, years ago?
Torg, yes.
Was that FASA?
Torg. Yeah,
that'd be interesting to know.
They also did Shadowrun, I believe. At least that's what they're arguing about in the chat. Something about Shadowrun. So, then when I weren't
right.
Shadowrun people. Oh.
Apparently, Bruce Lombardo, welcome.
Yeah, he's been here for a bit.
He's been here for a little bit, but apparently Bruce does not like James Jacobs as an author, and says so in his comment here. Yes. He's okay on game theory, but he hates a lot of things that are endemic to traditional fantasy.
That's fair, but I know that was his comment. West End Games says Bruce, that's the one that did Torg, and that's been remade too. So, T-shirt has the box. That's a game I've always wanted to get into because they got all these what do they call it? Not the night, some kind of knights who travel around the world and do travel different planes of existence. It felt very almost planescapey to me. in the sense that you're traveling planes all the time, different realities. What do they call them? Anyway, it doesn't matter. Yeah, he hated dwarves in Pathfinder. I know that's weird, Bruce. I don't
Were they
get.
Crusaders?
No, your characters are like. Are you called knights of some sort? T-shirt. What's the name of the characters they play?
Was it an organization they all belonged to?
I think so. And you can have different. I don't never own the books. Storm Knights.
Storm Knights.
Thank you. Yeah, and thanks, Elle. That's correct. Ulysses Spiel now does Torg, and they made a new alternative. Yeah, it uses the D20 for everything, which is pretty cool. I guess my favorite is probably D20 target number, but dice pools. You guys do make them sound tasty, so I probably could be inclined to do that. Torg is an edited version of Rifts, says Bruce, without the masculine.
Mescaline.
Does it mean mescaline required?
Not masculine, mescaline, which is drugs.
Oh, okay. For sorting
out the mess between Kevin Sembita and CJ Corella.
Don't know him.
Is that one of the early guys, early Risk guys?
Yeah,
I'm not familiar with that name.
I am reading a Rifts novel in preparation of our game. Our game is going to be switching to Rifts before long. We're going to be playing the original system. I'm going to be supposed to be playing on December 2nd with Legion. I'm going to get my little taste as a player on playing Rifts, and then I'm going to run my boys through the old school Rifts games for a while.
Oh, you're going to do some online play?
Yeah, one night. I think it's a one shot. Legion might chime in here. I need to check my Discord. I checked it last night. Me and the guy who's running it had a little talk, and then I had some issues last week. I need to get my character made. I need to do some studying. It didn't look too hard to make a character. So once I know the rules, I think we're playing. I'm leaning toward a cyborg type dude, or I may play a juicer if that's an option. So we'll see.
Yeah, I remember reading about Torg.
Yeah.
In Dragon Magazine years ago, and tell me if I'm remembering a different game and calling it Torg.
Yeah,
it has a similar thing with Shadowrun in that there was it's Earth, and there's some sort of awakening, and then the forest in North America grows wildly like overnight, and overtakes like the whole middle of the United States.
Mm-hmm.
And that's basically what I remember reading. But if that's not part of the lore of Torg, let me know, and I'm probably remembering a different game.
I'm looking at Torg Eternity Core Rules 3830. The possibility wars begin anew. Raiders from other realities have arrived on Earth, and where they rule, the laws of physics warp to form strange new landscapes. You play Storm Knights, defenders with the power to bend the fabric of reality, who resist the invading High Lords at every turn.
Okay, so I'm
sounds very
something else.
It sounds very Rift-like. Yeah.
Still, we need to pick up a copy. Maybe I should go Bogart T-shirts, T-shirted historian's copy.
Yeah, he should send that.
I don't know where he lives.
I know. Dang it. Bummer. Yeah. Oh, David's in the house. Mr. Guile, I have got your PDF of Dungeon Delvers D20, and I'm getting the hard copy in the mail. I am reading it voraciously, and I am loving it, sir. It is a very cool game. I should look at the dice pool. I have that as a PDF as well. So I need to compare that to the dice pool version. So it didn't seem as thick.
I need to grab a hard copy of that too.
You do. So when I get it, we'll show it off and see how our POD is doing.
After I've upgraded my PC.
Yeah. Anything else you want to talk about with attributes? We kind of named our favorites, and we hit the highlights of a lot of the. I mean, we had quite a discussion here with everybody. I don't know if there's something else you want to talk about. Yes, thanks to you, Bruce. Finally, when I saw some of your reviews, Bruce says Dungeons and Delvers is effing quality. You have been reviewing it, and you got me to reminded me watching your little reviews to go ahead and buy it. David Gall says Dice Pool is really different. Anyway, so I'll have to check that one out too. I'll compare it once I'm done with the other one. I think the one he currently has is a nice mesh of, I was telling Joe earlier, it feels like he's pulled things from 3rd edition, 5th edition, and then he's tried to keep it old school flavor, but more modern.
Yeah, that old school flavor of deadly encounters, and I mean that's the thing that the new game aesthetic lacks, is that the adventuring life is dangerous. A lot of the games these days have too many handrails, too many safety nets, ways to avoid the consequences of making bad decisions.
Yeah, Bruce and I are agreeing on non-fans of Shadowrun, but it's just me. I'm probably just not a huge fan of it.
I like Shadowrun. Like a lot of games, I like their Shadowrun's setting. Like Rifts, I like the Rift setting. Sometimes I don't like all the rules.
Patrick's DM'd me once. He's great on describing the setting, the whole world. It felt like it was coming alive. He did a great job. But I got so hung up on, I was the decker, and I felt like I was playing a separate game from everybody else.
Because you are.
Yeah, and I just didn't care for that. And some of the dice mechanics, I played the newest version. I think it's the newest version at one of our local game stores. And the guy that ran it didn't know it very well, and it seemed kind of clunky. But the flavor, the setting, yeah, I think it could be cool. I would much rather play Shadowrun with Savage Worlds rules than just Shadowrun as written. That would be my preference because I like the setting. So,
right, but I think our biggest takeaway is just like every part of our hobby, the attributes of a system. I don't think you can say that a particular attribute setup is inherently good or bad. It's a matter of taste.
Yeah.
I would say the 3-stat systems I don't necessarily care for because there's not a whole lot there. But the it's all a matter of taste, and we can argue about what's good or bad, and that's what makes good conversations. I think
Yeah, I think that is fun. We all have our own opinions. Shall we move into? You want to tell people what to do stuff here before we move into the next segment, or do you feel like we've got more to talk?
I want to address the
what is this?
T-shirt historian says that biggest geek is telling me about it. I ran Hyperborea last week, and the players were pissed at me because they felt I threw too many enemies at them. Wah. Killed one and captured the other 2 PCs. Oh, okay, about the deadliness. Right. And that's the way it should be.
Cry you a river. Shut up and love it.
Mm-hmm. Maybe they should have ran.
My current campaign? Ask Martinson how the current campaign went first encounter.
Oh, boy.
I killed 2 characters. Guess what I said? Get the dice out and roll them up, brother. It's called old school. Suck it.
And you know what? We players didn't complain.
No,
Randy was worried that Randy was the worried one, not the rest of us.
I'm talking a little crap. Honestly, I was more worried for Martinson and my other buddy, Mr. Larry Elliott, who's not here tonight. I smoked them both with poisonous snakes. Were you first level characters? Did we start first level? I think we did.
Maybe.
Yeah,
we did. The previous thing we started at 3rd. But we started first.
3 hit point, 2 hit point snakes, and you could just step on them and kill them. But if they hit you, it was dead, dude. And I'm like 18, 27. It's like boom. Oh yeah. I think Martin didn't get to attack once. Didn't get to roll his dice. He made his second roll was dead. It was pretty smooth.
Should have rolled better for your initiative. Anyway.
Dangerous world, Proto Baggins.
Oh well, I guess it's group initiative, so it probably wasn't his fault.
No, it was not his fault.
Nah. I guess one last thing is for attributes. If you guys have a favorite attribute system, I know some folks here in the chat indicated one way or another what they liked, but let us know in the comments what you think about attribute systems and what you think is the preferable one and why. Then we can have more discussions.
Yeah.
And with that, I will say. Oh, where's you at? Right there.
Yes.
Subscribe.
Do it. Like.
Yes, like, subscribe, follow, share, comment, do all the things that help out the algorithm. If they do, who knows these days? Sometimes they help, sometimes they don't, or though they don't seem to. You ask some people, that's what you got to do, and you ask other people, and it doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
But please do all those things. It lets us know whether people are even paying attention, besides the folks in chat.
What is Bruce saying? I love how Randy is doing the Jeremy Clarkson memes. I don't know Jeremy Clarkson. Oh no, anyway. Yeah, okay. I'm probably not consciously doing it. I might be channeling him somehow, but I don't even know the dude.
Okay, you probably have seen this maybe online. It's this dude with some white curly hair. Mm-hmm. He goes, "Oh no." Anyway, it's a little meme on that people use on the internet when they're like, "Whatever."
Yeah. Oh well.
He's a Top Gear guy.
Okay. Would you really T-shirt? He says he would get salty if he died in a Rifts game. Takes 2 hours to build a character and 2 rounds to die. Dude, I'm feeling like that game's like begging for instant death. Seems
just
to me.
The setting.
I know. Talk about deadly, man. Turn a corner and you're fighting Splugorth and all his minions and stuff. That sounds dangerous.
So yes, it's a. I didn't know where that guy was from. I've just seen the
okay. I'll check it out, because if I'm channeling him, I should know exactly who he is. That way I can do it again. All right. So we go to the second segment. We are going to bring up this idea of is it really all that it's cracked up to be, wherein we do a retro review of something from the old days. In this case, we're going to do a movie called Fright Night. We've mostly done movies in this segment. We're going to look at both the 1985 and the 2000, not 11, 2000. Was it 2000? I think that's wrong. I think is it 2011? Is that right? Let me check my links here.
Oh, I didn't look at that. Well, it was before.
It's 2011. Yeah, that's right.
It was before dude. It was before the dude died.
Yeah. So, so we watched them both. I watched mine about 2 weeks ago. Joe watched them this week.
I only got in like 40 minutes of the newer version. I was like, I'm done.
I'm going to say you didn't miss much. Me and Martinson watched them both together. I do love Fright Night. The original, God, it served us so well. Starring, who's the vampire? I'm blanking now.
Chris
Sarandon, and Roddy McDowall is the vampire hunter / actor. I think it's got some great.
Peter Vincent,
very funny stuff. We used a lot of the cracks sort of at the, especially the part where he goes, "You have to have faith for that to work on me." I would do that all the time with my monsters, and they would try something. Absolutely love the original Fright Night. I think it's campy, but I think there were times it was serious. I thought Chris Sarandon was great at being kind of a scary vampire, because he was super smooth. He was very suave. Then at times he could be terrifying just with the look. He would look at Brewster, the main protagonist, sometimes and just like, "Boy, I'm going to rip your face off." And he could do it with just a look. Hey, Ryan, Aquilith Media, glad you're in. So in the first one, in the original, right, Brewster lives next door to this guy. This vampire guy moves in.
Oh, spoilers for these are old movies, so we're going to talk about them. If you don't want to hear about movies you think you're going to watch, skip ahead. Yeah, so Brewster is he's kind of making out with his girlfriend in the bedroom, and he looks out the window and he sees this guy moving in. That would be Christopher Sarandon, and he's carrying a coffin into his basement late at night. So he's also at the same time watching a movie like what I would call, we had like Fright Night theater we used to have back in the day, and it was Peter Vincent, who was Roddy McDowall, playing an actor who basically does vampire tales. And I just thought it was so good, so funny. Back in the 80s, I absolutely loved it. Even now, I look back on it very fondly, and I can't help but enjoy it. If it's on, I'll sit and watch it. I won't turn it off. So it's a really fun movie to watch. He ends up
trying to convince everybody that he lives next door to a vampire. Of course, he can't, because no one wants to believe him until it's too late. And then him and his friends end up facing off against the vampire. He has to convince Peter Vincent that he's a local actor at the local TV station, that he needs to help him defeat the vampire, even though Vincent's just an actor. And it ends up being, there's a lot of cool moments. And it's, I thought it was an excellent movie. I did give it a 7 out of 10, but that's only because I think I'm looking back with rose-colored glasses.
Nope.
It's just the greatness that is us.
Happy accident.
I think Joe just pulled a little psionic action and planted a thought, and we're in the same shirt. So yeah, this is one of the. I need to wear more of the others because I've got so many of them. We need to show them all off. So Patrick does the.
This one is so comfy.
Yeah. What did you think of the original? So how would you talk about it? What would you say that was?
I love that movie. I think that they had a lot of B grade actors in it, except for Roddy McDowall, who was a A-list actor in his heyday. I'm pretty sure, something close to that. And he's way past his prime in this. But if you pay attention, he's got the best scenes, especially the one where when he gets Ed, who's turned into a wolf.
Yes.
And jumps on him, and he stabs him with part of the banister that has been broken.
Yes.
And when he's watching him die, he really pulls off how he's conflicted about Ed being a kid and dying.
Tears coming to his eyes.
Yeah, it was real. He did a great job. That's probably the best scene in the entire movie.
Yeah. Did you think though? I thought maybe the wolf, because when Ed was in his wolf form, I thought he was trying to use vampire charm on him a little bit, because he started reaching toward. Because if he had pulled the stake,
more. I just thought it was more like
it was all sympathy. Because I thought he was I thought Roddy was kind of reaching to help him, and then he kind of pulled back because he didn't want to get.
Yeah.
I thought maybe he was using a little vampire last minute charm on him.
I think he was desperate and wanted help. That's the way it came off to me, and it came across to me.
Okay,
but to me, that's my favorite scene. It's really great. The special effects are kind of of the time.
Very dated.
Some of them are good. Some of them are not so good. So
don't watch it for special effects.
No. But it's a fun vampire movie.
Yeah.
It's a little offbeat, so it's really not anything like current vampire tales, where it's generally lots of angst and woe is the vampire and all of that. No, the vampire's the bad guy.
Yeah. Yeah. Josh made a good point. Said Martin said the girlfriend is Marcy from Married with Children. Yep, true.
Yes, that is the case.
Well, how would you rate that one then? What would you give it out of 10?
Probably 7 or 8, like you said.
Yeah. What about the 2011 one? I'll let you go first.
It stunk.
You didn't make it all the way through it.
Okay. So they subverted nearly every bit. Yeah. This was only Fright Night superficially. And so when a movie is a remake and they're trying to they're trying to communicate that this is just maybe just a slight retelling, and then they just completely do a different take on it. It's kind of too jarring for me. I don't care for it because to me it seems like nostalgia bait instead of some kind of honest retelling.
Yeah.
So it's a little more modern, but only by 10 years. 20 years. No, 2011. So years. Almost 30
years. Yeah.
But it's all subverted, the whole thing. Now I don't even think what's his name? The vampire again? I forgot his name already.
Colin Farrell or Chris Sarandon?
No, the vampire character.
Oh.
The character's name. Well, anyway, in the first movie he had a bodyguard, Dandridge.
Yeah, Dandridge. Jerry Dandridge.
Jerry. In the first movie, he had a bodyguard because vampires need bodyguards for
when they sleepy. Yeah.
This one didn't have one.
No.
Plus, Chris Sarandon's Jerry was suave, but tough when he needed to be.
Mm-hmm.
Colin Farrell was kind of just a psychopath.
Now,
He was a weirdo.
Martinson's calling him DJ. So, okay. Is that the vampire's name, Martinson, in the new movie? I wouldn't be shocked. Switch on Dandridge Jerry. I don't know. Doesn't matter. But yeah, Colin Farrell was just kind of a, yeah. I just think he was very interesting. I don't know.
He was and like when there was the scene where he was at the back door to the kitchen,
mm-hmm.
right after the main character figures out that he's a vampire because he gets Eddie's evidence instead of the other movie where he sees it himself. He has to get evidence from Eddie. And the way he acts at the back door is just, it's very odd.
Yeah.
So he just seems the character. I don't know what kind of direction he got. Play a psychopath or a weirdo was about the extent that I thought his character was. And Peter Vincent.
Yeah.
Way over the top as a phony. I mean,
yeah.
Peter Vincent in the original movie was a phony only in so much as if you thought vampires were real, and he just portrayed himself as a vampire killer, but you knew he was an actor, so kind of fake that way.
But interestingly enough, the character that was the Peter Vincent in the new one, he actually had an experience with vampires when he was young. You probably didn't watch it that far.
Like I said, 40 minutes.
He knew they existed, which is why his magic show was so. He knew a lot. He collected all these different artifacts, so that part was kind of interesting. But it was just so much darker. It was less fun. They tried to be funny. The poor guy who played Chekhov in the newer Star Treks, the actor had passed away. He was Brewster. One thing that bugged me about the movie was, like, at the beginning, I had said Brewster and his girlfriend were kind of making out, and Brewster was kind of pushing her to the limits, right, trying to get in her shirt and stuff. In the new one, it was the other way around. His girlfriend's trying to jump him, and I mean, I guess that's a thing, but I don't know. That kind of felt weird. You're just trying to.
You're just switching things around just so you can.
And Evil Ed was an okay actor, not nearly as funny as the original, and quirky, and I don't know. It just wasn't.
He got killed right away.
Yeah, it left a lot to be desired. I only gave it a 4.
And they did a lot more with the school, which I was like, I don't care.
Yeah.
The movie's not about their school experience.
No.
It was really a backdrop in the original movie. Had a bunch of people in there. Well, not a bunch. They had several classmates that were inconsequential. 2 of them that got killed. At least 2 of them. The 2 that were in the car spying.
Yes.
They both got killed.
Yeah. Well, actually, one of them lived. If you had stayed and watched the whole thing, he was down under the house. There was a lot of people he had turned, about 5 or 6 of them, and they ended up coming back. Martinson's clarifying. Chris Sarandon was in the new one. He was the victim that was killed on the road, and his name was DJ, a callback to the original. Okay, yeah. Chris Sarandon did show up as a driver during one scene that the vampire pulled him out and killed him. I mean, that kind of like trying to hit you in the feels. It was kind of cool. There he is, but that's kind of all it was.
As its own vampire tale, it may have been good, but calling it Fright Night, and then it only having some superficial resemblance, kind of ruined it for me.
Kind of what they do with all the new movies that come out, and the wokitude that's been completely corrupting all the Marvel and DC movies. There's only characters in name only. They're nothing like Namor.
Right. So they've been really kind of doing this for a long time. I wouldn't call the newer Fright Night woke or anything, but it's a total departure from the earlier one, which is what people do. They've been doing for a long time.
Yeah, it's like I think this guy named Disparu, who I listen to on YouTube, he does his recent. You should check his recent video on canon, and how a lot of the modern writers, and he connects it to Rings of Power and some of the others. Um, I think they're bereft of talent, and they're just trying to look at this cool twist. Okay, and I need to check my Discord. I'll get that up here in a second. Yeah. So overall, what would you give it? Would you say it was as a movie there?
I would 1.
You give it a 1, huh?
Well, I didn't. I couldn't. This wasn't worth
Didn't even
finishing.
finish it. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Looking at my Discord, Bruce, I'm not seeing.
I have to say though, I can't remember a movie that Colin Farrell was in that I've liked.
Really? Okay.
I can't remember too many. He was Bullseye, but I did not really like that Daredevil movie.
Well, yeah, that's not the greatest. I am trying to find what is it under the biggest geekest links there in Discord? Is that where I'm looking? Okay. I'm just not very proficient, dude. I'm sorry.
Okay, so
I'm going to stop. Bruce, I'll do it later, dude. I'm not very proficient with that.
oh,
T-shirt's got.
Did you see it?
No,
no.
T-shirt.
So there is is it a YouTube? It's a video called "You're So Cool, Brewster," the story of Fright Night.
Where did you find that at?
It's in the Biggest Geekest Discord.
Okay.
In the YouTube section.
Okay. Thank you. Yes. Got it, bro. Thanks, Bruce. Yes, sir. I got to become proficient in that thing. T-shirt's got a good one.
At Biggest Geekest. Hey, don't you make fun of Namor. Finally, I can see myself as a genocidal amphibian mutant with some stuff through his nose. Don't you make me swim to the surface and give you what for?
Hey, dude, I'll just put on a black suit and eat some like crazy flour, and I'll be awesome. Well, you're still much better.
What is this about Namor? Did you say something about Namor?
Oh yeah, Namor gets trashed. He's not even an Atlantean in the movie. It's ridiculous. The new Black Wakanda Forever. Let's not go down that road. That's utter dog poop.
And we're not supposed to watch it.
No,
we're supposed to buy a ticket and give it to a black person.
Yes. Yeah, I actually did that with mine. I just bought a ticket and found some random black dude. Go watch this. It's your movie. It's not for me. So, all right. Well, I think that's all I want to say about Fright Night.
Fright Night, the original Fright Night is worth a watch if you haven't seen it. The other one we can ignore.
I would completely skip the 2011 one. No interest whatsoever. Was not good. Watched it with Martinson out of duty, and but it was duty.
I would ask if anybody knows a Colin Farrell movie that's worth watching.
Nothing comes to mind, but I don't remember a lot of movies when I get put on the spot. So
yeah,
I don't know about Colin Farrell.
So yes, in the comments, if someone can think of a Colin Farrell movie that's worth watching, please let me know because I can't think of one.
I feel like I've seen him in a good movie before.
Now, it's probably been in a where he's not the star. He's in a Miami Vice. I couldn't understand why they made that movie.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, Miami Vice was okay, but
I didn't see it.
It wasn't really. I don't think it was worth making a movie about.
He was the Penguin in the Batman. He actually did a good job in that.
I haven't seen
that. Not great. The Batman.
Correct. He was Bullseye, and that was a horrible movie. I don't know how to compare him to Bullseye in the comics.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but I know in the comics, Bullseye bashed his face against a brick wall so he could use his teeth his broken teeth as projectiles.
Wow. Cold-blooded. Yeah. Oh man.
Oh, okay. Here. Bruce Lombardo says, Biggest Geekest. Miami Vice was made because Michael Mann, the original Miami Vice co-creator, right,
yeah.
Wanted another mortgage payment. That's probably all he got out of it.
Yeah. You know, he's pretty dull. Martinson says he was in the newer Total Recall.
Okay, we still haven't found a movie I like.
That was dull. Yeah, he's not really been in good movies, I guess. I bet he's good.
Okay, I have to be honest though. I didn't watch the new Total Recall because I have no reason. There's no reason to remake Total Recall.
Total Recall wasn't that good the first time through.
But it was a nice campy movie, but that's about it.
Yeah.
Why remake Total Recall?
Yeah, good point. Okay.
All right. But
shall we move in?
Thanks for some heads up. I'd forgotten about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I know he was Hauser.
Hauser.
He's not even a good replacement for Hauser.
No, he's not. Oh, L. He chased Tom Cruise in Minority Report. That was a good movie. I enjoyed it.
Okay, I stand corrected. Thank you, L.
He was in a good movie. Whether he was good or not, we don't know.
Well, good. I'm hard on movies. Sorry.
I know. I like Minority Report.
It was all right.
I would give it a 6 or a 7. It was good.
Alexander was about the best film he was in. Alexander was the name of the movie.
Yeah, Alexander the Great. Yeah.
He was completely outclassed by every other actor in that sleaze fest.
Yeah.
That's a low bar.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Fair enough. Okay.
All right. So
you got a question for the chat, don't you, Joe?
Yes. And hopefully Pat's still hanging around.
Yeah, it'd be good
because it might have even been a good idea to try to get him in on this. But so over the last couple of days on Twitter, well, how about I do this? The Red Room has released a new product, or I can't really say they released a new product. Really, they made a product of theirs free. Let me get this put up on the screen. Where are we at? Where is this at?
He's just interested in Patrick's opinion because he's an artiste.
Anybody, and David, if he's hanging around too. So they have the Red Room has a product called Sexual Holocaust, which was denied being put up on TTRPGs, but we have it over on the Big Geek Emporium. They've made it free.
Yep.
And they put a new cover on it, which has AI. How do they put it? AI generated art. So they, it's a decent looking cover. Mm-hmm. Somebody replied to this though, saying, "You lost me at AI generated art." And I mean, you don't buy a game necessarily for the cover art. Yes, David.
Agreed. It's shocking.
It's shocking. It's shocking. It has the word sexual and the hated word Holocaust.
Holocaust.
So, decent looking art.
Yeah, like the monster dude.
Yeah, yeah. So if you're not up to speed on AI generated art, it's essentially there's some software packages out there, and you give it a prompt such as medieval knight, great sword, something like that, and it gives you some output. There's probably a little bit more to that, but that's the basic gist. And there are people who are very against this. Some tinfoil hat folks who don't want you to train the AI because the AI is going to rule everything, and the more you teach it, the worse it'll be for us. Which the toothpaste is out of the tube, so you can either use a tool or not. I know some people will say something like, "You're taking money, food off the table of artists," because you're an artist.
What's your thoughts?
What are your thoughts?
Where do I fit in? You're an artist. What do you think of AI generated art? Oh, sorry.
So I guess I just wanted this as a back and forth with the chat. What you guys think about AI generated art per se? Because some folks are really against it being in RPG material. Some folks, I think at Drive-Thru, they have a rule saying that you have to disclose your AI generated art.
What? Who cares?
Right.
Who cares? I mean, you probably shouldn't claim it to be yours, right? You have to give credit to something else. Do you have to do that?
Right. If you're using somebody else's art, you have to give them credit,
right?
And you may have to pay them depending on what kind of license they have with regard to their art.
But even the
you
AI
can't just use somebody else's art. AI generated art, you can just make it and do it.
I mean, I think Martinson's got the right of it. Some is good, some's crap.
Yeah. Because sometimes I saw one where the hands, they had like 10 fingers, 20 fingers each.
Yeah. I mean, I personally don't care. I don't know if he'll get all mad about it. I mean, as long as you're not stealing somebody's stuff.
Right. I mean, I can understand why someone would use it to cut costs because art is expensive. And if they're trying to get their brand off the ground, they might use AI generated art as a way so that they can have a nice cover. It doesn't do everything like the text that you see there. Apparently, AI generated art doesn't do text, the text overlays very well.
Mm-hmm. Oh, David Gile says he's against it in general. Interesting. He said he need more than 200 character comments. What's Patrick saying? I'm not opposed to it. I have enough people that bitch about my art being too cartoony. The AI art is more realistic and people still bitch. I think people are just going to bitch for the rest of the sake of it. True.
I was listening to a podcast, podcast for writers, mm-hmm. and a fellow on there they were interviewing. He was talking about AI generated art. He wrote a book about prompts and mm-hmm. how to make best use of it, and he thinks a good use of it is to shorten the development time for art. Oh. And the way that would work is an author could use the prompt system for these AI programs, get something together that looks close to what he wants for the cover of his book, and then he sends that to an artist and so that they have less back and forth. So, and the authors that he was talking to say they agreed that it could mitigate some of that back and forth time.
T-shirt says check your DMs on Twitter. He might have some comments. So, and Darth says he believes, Darthiak, I believe there are some issues with copyright. I wondered about that due to pulling from existing art. Who gets credit? That would sound tricky, but as long as you say, "Hey, I pulled from this base picture," I would think it would be okay. I mean, if they're putting if their art is up for that option, or if you got to pay them or whatever, I just don't see that why you would hate it just on its own. What are you saying, Patrick? Hell, Randy, I'm pretty sure people are going to tell you that you lost them at the art. No, they're not. They're going to say that's an awesome piece of art. Patrick is doing the art for my adventure, and it's going to be boss.
Elle says, so AI art is storyboard, not storyboard so much as the author generating the concept for the cover of his book. And then because that way there's less back and forth between the cover artist and the author in that. Sometimes I imagine authors don't really have much say depending on how they publish their book.
Oh, I didn't know, Darth. He said it was pulling from hundreds of pictures. Oh, I'm not sure that works. Yeah, do that, David. He says his is not a hate thing. David doesn't like it for some reasons. Oh, wrong one. Dang, you guys are coming in fast. David Gall says, for me, it's not a hate thing. I can email my thoughts later. That would be interesting to know. Yeah.
Yes, Bruce says, remind me to buy everyone from Red Room. So everything probably is what you meant. Everyone from Red Room when I get my thousands of dollars from YouTube. Ha ha.
Yeah, they're prolific as heck.
Oh, sure. They had the last count was 35-ish. They're probably up to over 40 products at this point. Let me share this thing that T-shirt had shared with me.
Sure.
So for those in the audio, you've got a game table with some very caricatures of people, we'll say. I'm not sure how what I'll try to do is put this image in the maybe not in the show notes. Maybe I'll put it up on the website if I can get this get the show notes up on the Big Geek podcast webpage.
There you go.
I might even be able to. I don't know. I don't think I can embed this in the YouTube description. That would be cool if I could. But essentially, it has all of the tropes: selfish min-maxers, innocent DMs, and uninvested players, horny cosplay posers. They say, "Is it my turn yet? I want to seduce the big bad evil guy's corpse."
Oh, jeez.
And it has Gary Gygax looking down from nerd heaven with a sad looking face. The uninvested player says, "Ha ha ha, sucks to suck." The innocent DM says, "Another first round kill? I worked on this encounter all week." The min-maxer says, "I hit him with my greatsword, then extra attack, action surge, attack twice more, all with an advantage and divine smite." Right.
Yeah.
So is this? I don't think this is AI generated though, right? This is just some funny thing that T-Shirted wanted to share, I guess. But that's pretty cool. All right. So, yeah, I saw that on Twitter and I thought I would ask our crew here what they thought of AI generated art, because I don't necessarily see a huge problem with it. I know, like I said earlier, some people will complain that artists might lose money because folks will do this and they will rail against the automation of things. Automation is going to kill all the jobs. I mean, it's possible, but some people's art styles are what attract people to either buy a book or buy some other thing. Ooh, what's that? Doc Belmont had an announcement.
Oh, did he? Where?
I don't know. I just saw. It's a Discord thing.
Okay.
And it said Doc Belmont announcement.
Oh.
And Patrick's right here.
Yeah, you're announcing something, Patrick. Okay, that's cool. All right.
Yeah, I don't see where it ended up at. Anyway.
Okay.
Okay, so
shall we slide into random geekitude and try to wrap this puppy up?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, so I just want to talk about first, start from the bottom up here. This link here that Martinson shared with me, I'm sure everybody is just going to be utterly thrilled with this, but I think it's still kind of interesting. I think most of us would say I wouldn't play D&D as therapy. That would not be my plan. But this therapist does that at her job. She uses it. I think you could. I don't think D&D is necessary. It's not a game that you should be playing for therapy without anybody else knowing it and then getting mad if it doesn't work the way you want. But I have no issues with what she says in here about how she thinks about it. It's a little, she seems to have gamed for a while and is kind of into it. I don't want to go too far into this article. It's not that exciting, but this Dr. Megan does use it. And I say, that's fine if you want to. I would not, I'm not a therapist. I don't know what I would do. I guess I wouldn't mind it if I could marry my hobby with my job sometimes. That might not be bad. I might get tired of it, but yeah. So.
Yeah. It's a game. If a therapist wants to use it as a tool in their setting, they are in control, it's a controlled setting for them,
Mhm.
then that's fine. But at a random game table, that's a bad idea.
Yeah, don't be trying to say we're doing this for therapy. And there was a guy that I used to listen to. There was a podcast. It's ended now. It was mostly a Savage Worlds. This guy would call in. He talked about, and he was in Australia, how he used it for his therapy, or he used it for helping at-risk teenagers learn how to deal with people, and that was pretty good. So I think it's fine if you want to do it, but it's not something you should say D&D should be therapeutic. Like I think a certain guy we know that shall not be named would say that's probably a thing that he thinks it's for. Um, but anyway, did we have any?
Oh, okay. I will say this: any sort of group activity can be therapeutic if you're having a hard time. We are social creatures for the most part. There are exceptions, but humans are social creatures. Having contact with other people can help us get over the hump on if we're in a slump or if we're feeling down. It can help us get our mind off of our troubles and maybe help us think through things. But that is a side effect of having a social life. It's not necessarily the purpose of a social life,
right?
But it happens as a side effect.
Right.
It's good that we hang out because it helps us out. But D&D specifically itself is not supposed to be therapy.
Right.
But it can have a therapeutic like effect, if you want to call it that. So Doc Belmont, or Pat, had shared some art with us in Discord. So I wanted to, let me see if I can make that bigger. Yeah, there we go. I made it big.
Cool.
Oh, there.
Let's see it. Present it to us, Joe.
Present. It's funny. It says present in one spot and then share in another spot. It's so silly.
Yeah, dude. That's a little sneak peek of what's going to be coming in my adventure. Yeah.
That's cool. I like that.
That is good. And
That's good.
That. Yeah.
And everybody has their style, and if Pat's style, some people will call it cartoony. If that's what it is, that's what it is. It's a certain style, and it's good. So yeah, that's what I think about that therapy crap. So did you want to go into some Big Geek?
Some reports. So Big Geek Con. Okay, don't get in a hurry. I am working on tabletop events. I have been in contact with David Guile. He's helped me out. I've been in contact with Venger. I'm going to pick his brain for some things. I'm just about ready to pull the trigger on the date. I don't think I'm going to announce it today, Joe, but I do have a date. Joe knows that there's one that's very likely to happen. The Sheraton in Saginaw is where it's going to be. I'm going to put a down payment on that very soon. And then I hope within the next week or two, I will definitely have a tabletop events page up where you can buy your badges and show up. We're going to start out with a 2-day event, Friday and Saturday, and see how that goes. That's really all that I've got right now because I'm still chatting with Venger about how to set it up.
L asks, did Tencar contact me? No. Was he supposed to?
Yeah, I don't remember.
It's possible that he contacted me in email and it went to the junk file. Actually, because sometimes that happens, but
yeah,
he didn't on Discord that I saw. Let me see.
And Patrick's art is an update on Big Geek Adventures. Something about his Substack.
But do you know why? Did he say he was going to contact me? I mean,
yeah.
And if he did he say how? But I don't have any DMs from him in Discord or let me check MeWe.
Yeah, he's on MeWe. Nikar's on MeWe.
I was in there earlier.
Mm-hmm.
and didn't see any DMs from anybody. So I don't have any DMs or email from him. So no. Yeah, has not. As far as I can tell.
No contacto.
His Substack. Okay, I have not even. I haven't even been to Substack.
Yeah. We were on Tinkar's show a long time ago when we first got started.
Let's see.
Oh, he wants Biggest Geekus. He wants us, Joe.
Well, of course he does. Well, who doesn't?
For his Substack. All right. Let's look into it. Unscripted's good too. Yeah. Okay. All right. Cool. We'll look into it. Yeah, I'm not sure. Look into it. Substack. Noted.
All
right.
Yes, he wants BG unscripted and a few more for his Substack. Ask him how to join it. Oh, he just wants people. He just wants people to, as members. He's looking for. He's got a membership drive going.
Is that what it is?
Or he wants people to submit content.
Yeah, we'll see. What's happening in Big Geek Emporium, dude?
All right.
You got some news?
Yeah, a couple of things for the Emporium. Kind of three. So, one, today, I lowered the commission that I'm charging from 25% down to 10%.
Ooh. Boom, son.
So, okay, I will contact Tencar and we'll see what we can do. Yeah, Elle says it's a network to aggregate videos and stuff.
Cool.
All right. Well, I know what Substack is. Maybe he's trying to do like OSR aggregation there as well. Sure. Anyway, so we dropped our commission down to 10%, which is no longer just a slight difference from Drive-Thru RPG. Theirs is 30 or 35, depending on whether or not you are exclusive. We have no exclusivity.
Right.
So I dropped it down to 10%. I asked previously of some of the creators there if that would help drive prices down a little bit. And they said, yes, definitely.
Cool.
So that's why I did that, because we are in a really terrible economic slump in this country.
Yes.
And I figure I really only need enough to enough there to, the overhead there isn't that much. It kind of is right now because I'm paying for the new site. I'm going to go from shared directory to a virtual private server. That's a little extra money as well. And so this month, the overhead is going to be fairly high, but in subsequent months, on a monthly basis, the overhead is not that great. So just charging a little bit should be fine. And I hope if I can get enough people, I hope this drop, because I'm going to put it on Twitter after the show, will help draw more people in, more traffic, and will hopefully drive prices down a little bit, and maybe even we can go down to 5%.
Oh wow! Okay, cool.
And I was inspired by a fellow who has a totally different niche, totally different. It's not even hobby. It's a totally different market. He has a platform, and he only charges a 1% commission for the stuff that people put up on his platform. So it would be cool to get my commission down to where it's barely noticeable and still pays the bills.
Right. Oh, okay.
Ha 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 ha. That's funny. 10%. That means BGE is making more than Legion of Myth or Magic the Gathering. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Legion
10% of not much is not much.
Yeah, Legion's loaded over there, and Magic the Gathering. Oh, jeez. Okay. Was there other things besides that? That you said there's a couple things.
So there's that. I'm also Legion of Myth asked either yesterday, or the day before, if we could have gift cards. And so because people were asking him, and I'm like, oh, okay, I'll look into that. So hopefully within a day or two, I can make that a reality, and maybe that'll be lucrative. I don't even know how that will work with regard to the creators there. So I have to figure out the ins and outs.
Yeah.
So as far as DM James says, I'm sponsored by my wife.
True.
All right. Oh, and hello, DM James. Hopefully you've been listening. Why do people think we make a lot of money? Yeah, I think this room would look a lot different if we made a lot of money. In fact, if I made a lot of money, it wouldn't be walls. It would be a window facing a beach.
Yeah.
More likely. Anyway, so we're going to have gift cards soon.
Yeah.
And I just mentioned virtual private server. That's going to be happening hopefully within a few days.
Okay.
I'm not sure whether I have to purchase it as a separate thing and then migrate, or if my hosting company can just upgrade me in place without me doing a whole lot.
Right.
I'm not sure. I'm going to hopefully work those details out, and soon after that, within a few weeks, we'll have the new site up.
Okay.
Or at least I'll be able to look at it, and we might have to do some back and forth and some fine tuning, but at least it will be the new site. Hopefully within a few weeks.
Okay. What about is that it as far as Big Geek Emporium?
Yep.
That's right, Max. He dreams of all the money he doesn't have. So, anyway, so we're going to call-ins or emails? None?
So Ella says, yeah, I didn't know. We don't have any of that stuff.
Okay, cool.
If you had a window facing a beach, your squirrel, he means my wife, wouldn't let you stream anymore. Quite possibly, I might have to have Martinson fill in.
Yep. All right. Well, I think it's just about a show, don't you think?
I think so. I think we talked about attributes. We talked about Fright Night.
Mm-hmm.
And we talked about AI.
Mm-hmm. Art.
And our Big Geek updates.
Yeah.
I guess another Big Geek update is I'm really, really going to focus on getting the Biggest Geekest podcast .com up to snuff. It's very much been forgotten.
Well, dude, we got a lot of irons in the fire, and I'm struggling with. I've committed to a third creative thing besides my module and my adventure. Joe may not remember, but I did tell him about that.
Your module and your adventure?
My module and my convention. Sorry.
Convention.
Legion wants to do a little shameless plug, so we'll let him. Mark McKinnon of Besem will be on RPG Digest this Sunday. Right on. So check it out.
Oh, wow. You guys are getting big time over there.
Yeah, we got a couple people we need to get on too. We got to get the Palladium guys on. We should talk about that after the stream.
And we need to get T-Shirt Historian on.
Yes.
I also want to start getting some of the creators on Big Geek Emporium on, like David Guile, if they're up for it.
Yeah, David would be cool to have. He's willing.
David, Red Room, all those guys.
Yeah, that'd be fabulous. So we're going to have all these links on how you can support us and subscribe and all that good stuff in the show notes. Joe's going to make that happen. So check those out. Anything else, Joe?
Just a reminder, we are on Ko-Fi and Streamlabs if you want to throw some cash our way. And you don't want to use the regular stuff like PayPal.
Like PayPal, because no one does.
Yeah.
All right, dude. Well, this is Randy.
And I'm Joe.
And remember, if you can't be big like us, then be geeks like us.